Hello everyone, welcome to Enterprise System Development course, and today we will talk about Agile methodology, what is it and how it works, and why it's so popular in nowadays. So the history of Agile comes from the famous Agile Manifesto. This become after a meeting of the experts from the different spheres of programming, and every person on this meeting talk about the main approaches which he used in his work. So one of these based approaches is extreme programming, which offer the following points like quick feedback when you use the driven development and when you include customers in your work. Also, famous point is paired programming, when two programmers sit in front of one computer. Also, continuous integration is come from the extreme programming, when you automate your process and when you use refactoring, when you change the libraries which are used by your software. And also such points like simplicity in design, standard of code writing, and also 4 hours week, of course. And another general approach is Scrum. This approach, when we divide all our big team on the small multifunctional teams, and we compose our project on the small list of tasks. Also, we divide all our timeline into kind of sprints, and we will talk in details about this today. And also we have meetings with our developers every day and retrospective meeting in the end of sprint. So this Agile Manifesto, you can visit the site. This information is placed on the website Agile Manifesto. And here the main points of this manifesto, and here is the group of experts who take part in this meeting, historical meeting, and who elaborate these points. So let's discuss. First point is individuals and interaction over process and tools. This talk about that interaction is more preferable than usage of some kinds of processes and tools. So we have to think more about persons, interactions between these persons, more than some details of instruments which we will use to achieve this. Working software is over comprehensive documentation. So first of all, we develop, and after that, we think about documentation. Documentation is important, but working software more important. Customer collaboration over contract negotiation. So we talk with customer, we want to understand what he wanted, and it's more important than we read about what he has written in the contract. So interaction with customer is more important than contract. Responding to change over following a plan. So we ready to change, we collect some responses from our customer, and this is more important than follow our plan. So also here is in more details the same approaches. Actually, there is 12 principles of this manifesto. We have talked about the main, but here is in more details, but actually is about the same thing. Our highest priority is to satisfy the customer. So customer is the satisfaction of customer is the more main point. We are ready to change something to satisfy requirements of our customer. Driver working software frequently from a couple of weeks to a couple of months. Also, business people and developers must work together, build a process around motivated individuals. The most efficient and effective method of conveying information to and within the development team is face-to-face conversation. Of course, we can use some special instruments like project management software or some another enterprise tools, but face-to-face conversation is, and nowadays it's very popular and the most preferable interaction method. So working software is like a measure of our progress. Of course, if we made plan, it's okay, but the working software only showing how far we are in our project, how we finished it. Agile process promotes sustainable development. The sponsored developers user should able to maintain. So in our Agile process, we have communicate with all these persons and with sponsors and with stakeholders, and only this approach is promote sustainable development. Continuous attention to technical excellence and good design enhance agility. This is not easy, but we have to try to offer continuous attention to technical excellence. Simplicity. So for small projects is easier, but for big projects we can try to create some modules and make it as simple as possible. Best architectures requirements, of course, to offer this simplicity we have to think about architecture a lot, and regular intervals the team reflects on how to become more effective. This of course make the team very very so this lets the team to work in very fast way and to show their results as fast as possible. So again, agile principles which we talked about, and a little bit about all of these points, but from other side. Like put the customer at the center, of course, accept change, let the team self-organize. Yes, Agile is usually talking about small team, like no more than 5 or 8 people, and each person in this team have to understand what tasks he made in this project, what his tasks, and in small team it's difficult to hide, to just I don't know, to hide your work, and in bigger teams, it's easier. So Agile is about self-organization in this kind. Maintains sustainable pace. Of course, it's about not let the people to be overstressed, and the people have feel comfortable in during their work. Develop minimal software, so you develop a little bit and you show results to a customer and get a response. Develop iteratively, it's the same point. And of course, test. You have to test your results to understand that everything is okay which you produced. Also, here's about interaction with customer. Customer sometimes can have no experience in some technical points, so we have troubles with understanding what actually customer want. And in this situation, we can use things so-called like use cases, and in Agile it's a little bit another instrument. Is called user story. When you create some images of your interface and you making, for example, here is user login window, and in description you can see that registered user want to log in, so I can access subscriber content. Here is user's email address, validate format, authenticate against using new web service, go to forgotten password page. So here is like mock-up of the login window. Here we can see it's look like task, like it's have size of this task. So instead of user use cases, we can use this so-called user story images. And also let's talk about the Scrum. Scrum is probably one of the main instruments which included in the Agile methodology. So how it look? I have kind of different pictures, and on every of these pictures, Scrum cycle looks from different points. So let's first talk about the process. We divide our project on the small tasks, and we create the set of these tasks called product backlog. So this is the whole bunch of tasks. It has to be hierarchical, and when we create this, we in some point understand what we have to do to finish our project. After that, all the time which we have to finish our project, we divide on the sprints. Every sprint can have 2 or 4 weeks, and when first sprint start, we take some tasks from the product backlog and insert it into the sprint backlog. Also, every day of this 2, sometimes it can be 1 week, we have daily meetings. So let's talk about first. The first meeting of the sprint is usually planning or retrospective meeting, it depends of does we have the sprint before or not. If it is first sprint in our project, this is only planning meeting. On planning meeting, we have the following participations: developers team, also our product owner who have information about our project, and also we have Scrum Master who is manager of the process of this Scrum. So he's like administrator of this process, Scrum process. And on this meeting, we have to understand which tasks from the project backlog we will insert in the sprint, and also which developer, which task will produce during this sprint. Also, we can talk about some problems, some connections between different tasks, interaction between developers, what type of task each other can help. Also, it will be good if customer will take part on this meeting, but if project owner is taking part in this meeting, he can tell to the project team the voice of the customer. So this meeting can be pretty long, but 8 hours is time limit, not work more than 8 hours per day. And it also can be divided on 2 parts. First is product owner and team, and they talk about product backlog, and second part is Scrum Master talk with the team about sprint backlog tasks. Also, if this is not first meeting, if we have sprints before, it can be retrospective meeting when also we talk about what we have done on the previous sprint and what is finished, what is not, which problems we get, and will we correct something in our project backlog tasks. And of course, daily meetings. It's probably the main point of the Scrum. On the daily meetings, usually in the morning, the project team and the Scrum Master have meeting, very short, about 15 minutes, and they talk. Every developer, every project team member have answer 3 questions. What are you going to do today? Which tasks? What have you done yesterday? And do you have some difficulties? These meetings let every person in the project to understand what work every of your neighbor doing, and maybe because sometimes people can understand on this meeting that the neighbor person doing the work which is made by which can help you to make your work, or maybe you're making the same task or the task which very close to each other. Also, this meeting lets people to understand how the project going on. And also another point on this meeting, the Scrum Master, when he asks every day your question, what have you done yesterday, these meetings doesn't let the people to just stuck and sometimes the projects, the members, the project team of this Scrum process, they have different, more than one project. They can have another works, another stuff to do, and it's difficult for them to find some time for this project. And when someone asks them, "What have you done yesterday?" This very like so this push you to do something, maybe not too much, but to do something for this project, to let this project go, and this really works. Also, let's talk more about Scrum roles. Product owner, he represent the voice of the customer, voice of the stakeholders, product stakeholders, and as you can see, he's responsible for delivering good business results. So this person, the most responsible for the finished project, and this project have to be the same what the customer want. If there's something different, the product owner is responsible for this. Self-organizing development team. It had to be not more than 9 people, because when it be what it's going to be like 15, 20 people, it's going to be difficult to finish daily meetings in 15 minutes, and when you have more people, you have more longer meetings, and it's more difficult to work together in the such Scrum way. And as a solution, you can divide your big team in the small parts. But so development team have to be pretty small, and it can include the specialists from the different areas. And also we have Scrum Master. He's accountable for removing team difficulties, educating stakeholders of Agile Scrum. So sometimes the customer is not familiar with Scrum cycle, so the Scrum Master have to talk with the customer and to show him how it works, and to let a customer understand what he can get in this situation. As we talked before, the team is cross-functional, has 7 plus minus 2 members, select iteration, goal and work results. Product owner defines the product features, decides on release date, decides on release content, responsible for product profitability, and so on. And Scrum Master, he ensures the team is functional and productive, enables cooperation across all roles and functions. Also, we can have other people like product marketing, marketing communication, directors. So we can have different people, but all of them are a little bit outside of the Scrum process. They can take part on some meetings, but not have to. It depends on the product owner decision. And also, sometimes we have different roles of product manager and product owner. Product owner, he is more about agile team and sprint direction backlog, but product manager is a little bit higher role. He is more about roadmap, strategy of our project, and product backlog. If our product can be part of the, so our work of our team can be part of the big product. And if we have pretty small project, this is the same person. Here is the little bit differences between these two roles, but mostly it's about the type of scaling. So the product manager is more abstract work and product owner is more precise. So here is like marketing sensing, this internal deliveries. Here's a release objective, interaction objectives, static direction, day-to-day, and so on. Also, I want to talk a little bit about Scrum cycle and some details of this process. So first, we have our stakeholders, our product owner, project owner, which decide what we have do and which task, and they making some force about how much money we will spend, how much money we will get, does our product is okay, and such things. And we divide after that the development team and the project owner get these pieces of requirements. They measure how much time we will spend for this, how important, how it's possible to realize, and decide, will we insert this functionality in our product or not. When we insert, we divide these pieces on the sprints. We divide these tasks to our development team, and after that, after each sprint, they produce some outputs, and we also can measure these outputs. So how we can measure? We can measure how fast we producing, because the timing is usually very important in this project. When you finish it earlier, you can sometimes get more profit, and when you late, you maybe will not get any profit at all. And you can measure the ideal line. So also it's measured by so-called burning diagram, when you have the total all total tasks of your project, and on the x you have time, and you can see how it becomes smaller and smaller. So in the initially you have all your tasks, and after that, when you finish, you just remove this task, and during the time you have less and less your task. And here is a little bit different graph. Here's the green situation and the red situation, and you every task have some points, some cost, and when you finish, you just add it during the time, and you can see how is your going. Will you finish your project in time? And after every sprint, you can change decision, you can talk with developers, make some changes, maybe remove some tasks, maybe make some simpler. So it let your project be done in time or fastly. And of course, as I told before, it's depend on how much profit you will have if you finish your project in time. So we get outputs, we measure it, and after that we show these outputs to our customers, to stakeholders. Usually product owner show this, and he gets some responses from customer, and maybe make some different priorities to the tasks. And so again, it comes to the developers and they make their work, and so this cycle works like this. Also, here's a small picture when you have big, more than 9 people in your project team, you can divide all your developers on the small teams and create some project owner for every of this team and make 2 kinds of meetings. First meeting between the project owners of these teams, and after that every of this project owner will have meetings with his team. Of course, all tasks are divided, all projects will be divided on the modules which have to be kind of independent of one of other. Also about artifacts, outputs of the Agile. One of the such artifacts is UML. UML is a very common instrument. In many companies it's used, and it have very standard diagram types, which of course you have to understand and know how to use. And here is example of use case diagram. On this example you can see online shopping system, and here's description of what our online shopping system have to do. Here's so-called actors, the people who work with our shopping system. It can be people, it can be services, it can be group of people or organization. So here is like online customer have to have ability to view product, purchase product. When he purchase product, he interact with payment process system. After that, marketing administrator have to be able to manage products. Warehouse manager have to have ability to report inventory. And on this diagram doesn't show which task is going first and which is after that, but this diagram shows interaction between different processes, and on this diagram you can see that maybe online customer might purchase product and to ask question, and what after that purchase, what have done after that, who will get this. And here you can understand, yes, probably we have to think about payment processing system, and when he manage customer information, where this information will store, and manage products, maybe he will manage products with warehouse manager. We have to think about it, how they will interact. But here there is no interaction between them, but maybe in more details. Also, each of these blocks can be viewed in the details, and we will find something wrong in this diagram. Okay, also in Agile there is another artifact called user story. This is more easier to show what you want. So it's written by customer, it's incomplete, possibly inaccurate. So the customer write just I want blah blah blah, and after that the developer from the team have to create use case based on this user story. And after that, maybe on the next meeting with customer, we will show does we understand right what you want, customer, what you want, and define. Also, a little bit about product backlog. Product backlog maintained through the project. Property of product owner. Only product owner have ability to change something in product backlog because only product owner understand in the details what the customer probably want. Open and editable, but anyone open of course, but editable, I think this is not totally right, because if someone edits something, the other have notifications, or it have to be done during the meetings, because if everyone will edit everything, it will be difficult to find why something changes here. Contains items, descriptions of all potential features, so yes, and includes estimates of business value, so we can measure something. So when we finish this task, what will we sell our product or not? Is it ready enough or not? Because the agile can be made on the project which is already in the production, and when it's in production, we have to think about business value. When we add these new features, how much value, how much more income we will get from our customers. And also product backlog have to include estimates of development. Also about backlog, what it have features, it have stories, requirements, epics, like very special features, and bugs, like what we have to repair. Item attributes, like description, cost estimate, and priority. This is not necessary, but you can have these attributes. What the difference between product backlog and sprint backlog? The short answer is in the abstraction. So the sprint backlog is more about what we want to do during our 1, 2 weeks, 4 weeks during our sprint. Product backlog is the master of all functionality, and sprint backlog is the list of functionality in the current direction. All the difference. Also, the popular instrument in the such a Scrum cycle called task board or Kanban board, when we have electronic or we have offline board, and we have all tasks, and we have columns, and each of these columns is about the state of our task, if it's in the just in story state, or someone is processing with this task, or it's just like in process. Here is like probably difference between here is it's ready to do, and here is like someone have working with this task, ready to verify, and this task is done. And here is the good interface for meetings for people, which can see on this board the state of our project, probably only for this. And here you can see how it's look like. Here is offline example, but also of course you can use some systems like Jira, like Redmine, like other bug trackers, Trello, and so on. There's a bunch of famous instruments, but some people anyway prefer the offline. Here is also you can see the some analytic information, the total number of tasks, like how much tasks is like small 10 minutes, how much task is 1 hour, and how much task is 2 hours, how much fixes, how much requests, so he advise, fix, request, and so on. So you can add also statistic which you want. It depends on the project. And here also you can see the names of the developers who on this week looks like they have a sprint of 1 week, who is going what to do in this week. Also we have unscheduled task. Also we have who is just starting working, and who is testing, and what tasks are done. And when it's become full, we have to think about how we will remove some tasks from the board. And how it looks like in Jira. Probably it's old example, but for modern, I think it's look like the same. The columns, the kind of tasks when you can drag from one column to another, and you can see the state of our project development. And also, let's talk about disadvantages of agile approach. You have to understand it, and here is like a rejection of upfront tasks. So you cannot think a lot about future requirements, so you just making what you have now, and if someone requirements will came in future, you will just work with them in the future, not today. And in this situation, you will have some you can get some troubles with architecture, because architecture is difficult to change. User stories replacement of abstract requirements, test replacement for specifications, feature-based development, ignorance of dependencies. Also, what is most important, decimal of priori concern. So yes, probably the main is like about architecture. So it's difficult to think about extendability and reusability when you're making some projects from the scratch, from the zero. It's very difficult to create architecture when you doesn't have enough requirements, and when at some point you will get problems with architecture modification. Also, the good points, of course, is when you're ready to change, very fast iterative development, emphasis on working code. So it's more about the working code and not about plans and documentation. Notion of velocity, no branching, daily meeting. So this method is very effective when you have short project, or when you doesn't understand a lot about what it have to be done in the at the end, or maybe because you doesn't have much experience in such area, or just you have to do something very fast. So for this situation, Agile is very suitable and very popular. So this is today we talk about Agile methodology, You have listened about the advantages and disadvantages of this method. So thank you for listening, and we'll see you on the next videos. Thank you. Goodbye.